I'm Caroline Hendershot, and this is What's Your Why, an in-depth interview series where you get to know the player underneath the helmet at the New York Jets. On this episode, I sat down with DJ Reed, and we spoke about the importance of family throughout his childhood, his journey on 3 different collegiate football programs, and making it to the pros. Make sure you're subscribed to the New York Jets YouTube channel for more exclusive content. All right, DJ, take me back to Bakersfield, California, where you were raised. What was it like growing up?
I would say it was a fun household. I grew up with a lot of people living with us. I had a lot of brothers and sisters. My house was pretty much like the house that everybody came to if you needed a place to stay. So, there was a lot of people running in and out of our house. So it was a good childhood. And then my dad got sick, and that's when things started to take a little turn. So far as we weren't able to help people like we were helping originally. And my mom had to work more jobs to provide for the household, and things of that sort.
What was that like for you when your dad got sick? Do you remember your initial reaction?
Yeah, at first, he started using a cane, and then when he finally got diagnosed with MS, we thought it was something that he was going to be able to bounce back from. We didn't know the severity of it and how hard it would hit him, but it happened really fast. He slowly, I would say in the span of a few months, was just unable to walk. So that was tough seeing that. As a kid, I was probably 9 or 10 years old, and then just seeing my little brother and how he reacted to it, I think he took it a little harder than me. It was tough to see that, you go from seeing your dad playing around with us, wrestling with us, to now needing help, practically doing everything. So that was definitely tough to see.
Did you feel any pressure to kind of step up and help take his place in a sense and kind of help provide in that way?
Yeah, I would say for my little brother, my mom, she did a great job of making sure we were straight, with having food on the table and just making sure that we were just good, having clothes and all that. So I didn't have to worry about that. It was more so just with my little brother, kind of I guess being a father figure, especially when my dad moved back to Iowa, just being a good role model for him and showing him the ropes. And for me, it just made me want to help my mom out as far as taking sports more seriously, because I knew that would be my way out. And I definitely just wanted to just help my mom and my brother.
We were talking off camera a little bit before this. You realize how much your parents do for you when you kind of grow up and become an adult. When you look back at what your mom did for you when you were growing up, having a family of your own now, how impactful is that?
Everything she did for me and my brother, and me and my family, she did it with a smile on her face, even though, there was times where, if you're working 3 jobs, there's times where you're not going to be happy coming home, but she literally would come home, make us food, and, she never complained about anything, and that's something that I just took with me, myself, whatever situation I'm in, I'm going to always, have gratitude, always have a different perspective on how things can be.
So your parents separated, and then after that, your mom got diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was that like for you, knowing that there was just so many things happening in your life? Did you ever kind of get down on yourself and maybe look to blame someone or something?
That whole experience was interesting because she tried to hide it from me and my little brother at first, and we were just devastated, especially with we literally just moved into a new apartment. My dad just moved to Iowa, so my dad's sick, and now I'm being told that my mom has cancer. So it was a lot to take in. Me and my brother were sad about that. But it just made me grow up a little faster, just with having to help her. I remember going to school and then taking the bus home from school, having to get her cranberry juice. That's something she always wanted, was just get my cranberry juice with ice, with crushed ice. So I just always get her cranberry juice and just taking care of her the best way I could at that age. But it definitely just motivated me to be able to help her when I was able to help her.
So when did you really find football and kind of get into a groove that you were like, this sport is for me?
My senior year, I really knew that I was gonna, choose football over basketball, because I played basketball and I was a point guard. And honestly, I like basketball way more than football at the time. But I had a real conversation with my older brother. He was just like, look, like, I forgot what height I was at the time, but he was like, you're good at basketball, bro, but like your ticket is football. Like if you take this serious, you could go really far, probably the NFL, but you could definitely get a D1 scholarship. So I remember after my senior year, I didn't have that much offers. Me and my older brother, we went to work, like we were grinding. He was coaching me. We were waking up 6 a.m. every day and we're just grinding, like running hills, running stadiums, going to Patriots Park, just doing like crazy workouts. And then I ended up getting a walk-on tryout to Fresno State. So I went there, made the team, and I walked on there for the year.
So before we get into Fresno State, your junior year, you've talked about kind of having a perspective change after an incident where you were arrested. Mm-hmm. What happened in that moment, but then also what made your perspective change? That
was a big pivot in my life. So before that situation, I'll talk about my junior year of high school. So I was 16. So I was feeling myself, to be honest with you. Like I was feeling real confident about myself. You know, schools were coming in, a little bit of talks with basketball. I was feeling confident about myself. Our whole team was. Like we were on top of the world. Like we felt like we couldn't lose. So I just felt like I started kind of just doing stuff that, you know, wasn't of my character, just hanging out with the wrong people. And just ended up getting caught doing some dumb stuff. Just got in a fight with my little brother and a few of my friends at the time. Ended up stealing one of the guys' bikes. They called the cops. We got arrested. We got charged for robbery, which was serious. And that whole situation was just like, what are you doing, basically? Like, why are you putting your mom through this? That was the first thing that I thought about, because it wasn't only me that got in trouble, it was my brother too. Just imagine like your mom being told that, you know, both her sons are in custody. Just during that process, I really learned like, you know, people are there with you, the highest of the highs, but then nobody's there for you, like in the lowest of the lows, where it's very few people. And my relationship with God during that time got way stronger. That was like the first time like I really picked up the Bible when I was in juvenile hall, because I was there for 34 days. So yeah, I was just reading the Bible, really felt the Holy Spirit for the first time, and I felt a comfort in that moment, even though everything wasn't going good. I remember going back to school and like teachers, I see how teachers was treating me differently. I had one teacher was just like, I'm surprised you're back. Another teacher was like they were just surprised that I was there. And just everybody just kind of changed on me, to be honest with you. Like, so it was just like another statistic. I felt like I was another statistic. Like, well, he had a chance, but this is the same old, kid from Bakersfield getting in trouble. So I was just motivated just with, I guess, changing my narrative. And I knew that this wasn't the route that I wanted to take in my life. And I think that's where the maturity came in. Just kind of grew up faster than normal people in high school.
So you spoke about Fresno State. You got that opportunity for a walk-on tryout. How did that whole process unfold, and how did you know Fresno State was the option that you wanted to go with?
Yeah, me and my older brother, LJ, we went to Fresno State. We actually went up there, and we talked to Coach Wade, who was a running backs coach at the time, because I played offense and I played defense in high school. So we gave him the tape, and he said, like, we see him as a CB. So it was like, okay, cool. Like, and he was just pretty much saying, we'll let you know if we have a spot. So didn't think much of it, just like another opportunity. He actually called and he offered me like a walk-on, I guess, tryout spot. Went there, practiced, and I made the team. So that was really cool. So yeah, I'm grateful that my brother, that we actually went there and did that, because if not, I would not have got that opportunity.
So you redshirted that first year at Fresno State. What happened after that year, the conversations with the coaching staff?
Yeah, so it was more of a financial thing, just with my mom, because I walked on, so my mom had to pay for me to go there, and that was a struggle. And my brother would tell me, my mom would never tell me that, but my little brother back home would tell me, like, Mom's struggling and she's paying for you to go to college. He was just being very upfront. So I felt guilty actually being there, not on scholarship. So I voiced that to the coaches. I voiced that to the head coach and to my position coach. And they were just like, we do evaluations every year. We'll let you know next year how we feel about you. So that next spring came and they gave me the evaluation and they pretty much said, hey, we see you as a special teams guy. We don't see you as a starter this year. As far as scholarships, you're gonna have to probably wait this year, next year. There's no promises. So for me, that just told me like I gotta go because my mom can't afford it financially. And on top of that, I see myself as a starting corner. I don't see myself playing special teams.
What was the process like with choosing what junior college fit your skill set? What made sense for you? What was that decision process like?
Yeah, I had a mentor. He pretty much, once I got in trouble in high school, he pretty much was kind of just a mentor, kind of looking after me, making sure, I was straight. He introduced me to Cerritos Community College. We went to 2 colleges. We went to Cerritos Community College and went to Mount Sac. I personally like Mount Sac better, just with the talent that they have. If you're from Cali and you're a football player, you know about Mount Sac. They have like one of the best JUCO programs. The thing is when we went there though, none of the guys could get out because of their grades. So like I was asking guys like, like where are you gonna go? And they were like, oh, like my grades. I kept hearing that and I was like, that's not a good sign. When I went to Cerritos, there was a lot of guys there that were talented as well, but they were getting out. They had grades, they had an academic center. So it just seemed like they prioritized academics more. So that's really why I ended up going there.
So what was your experience like at junior college? How did you kind of have to fight to get that next offer?
Junior college was interesting because it's literally survival of the fittest. It's like, especially in Cali, there's no scholarships. So like, as far as living, you got to figure out how you're gonna live, how you're gonna, take care of yourself with no funds, whether you work or however you get the money. And then on top of that, you have to go out there and produce on the football field at a high level to even get recruited, because they could easily just recruit guys out of high school or guys that transfer from another D1. So like, what's gonna make you stand out? So you have that component. And then you have the grades component. On top of that, you gotta balance grades. And I thought like, oh, when you go JUCO, I had the perception of like the classes would be easy. And honestly, their college courses, like they're not easy at all. So that was like a big slap in my face when I got there. Like, even when I went to, Kansas State and Fresno State, like the academics and some of the academics courses at Cerritos were harder, like more challenging.
What happened when those calls started coming in from other schools after that first year at Cerritos?
Yeah, so I remember my first offer was from Indiana State. And I was happy because I was just like, okay, like it's a D1 AA, but it's a D1, and they're offering me a full ride. So I remember going on a visit, and it was cool. Like the coaches was cool, everything was nice. That's where Larry Bird went. So like he's like the man over there. Like he has a statue. The visit was cool. It took me out. Like it was a good time, but like something was just telling me like, bro, like you supposed to be at a bigger school. Like no disrespect to Indiana State, but you're supposed to be at a bigger school. So when they asked me like, do I want to commit? I was just like, I gotta talk this over with my family. But like I was very emotional though, because I was like, I appreciate you guys. Like this is my first offer. Like this means a lot. So I came back home, and then that's when K-State called. I was getting food with my best friend. And yeah, his name was Coach Seiler. He called me. He was pretty much like, hey, this DJ Reed? I'm like, yeah. He was like, hey, this is Coach Seiler with Kansas State. We want to offer you a full ride scholarship. And that was crazy. That was a crazy feeling.
So in your 2 years at K-State, you exploded. In 12 games, you had 3 touchdowns, a 32.2-yard career kickoff return average, which is second in school history, 7 interceptions and 3 forced fumbles, not to mention all first team All Big 12 and second team All American. How were you able to do all of that at such a high level? Just a journey. I knew once I got back to a D1 school, I knew that I was going to ball. So like, yeah, it was really just I needed to go through all those experiences. Like I needed to go to Fresno State, so I already knew how D1s operated. I needed to go through JUCO just to get the gratitude and just to get the perspective and just the appreciation of like when you go back to a D1, like you got to really capitalize on that. And once I got to Kansas State, yeah, after the first season, I was like, okay, like you're gonna go to the NFL. And then once next season came, so my second year there, once I had that season,
It was like, I already knew I was gonna get drafted because I was an All-American, so it was just like, okay, everything's coming to fruition.
What was it like when you first realized that you could actually make it to the NFL? That realization that you've worked your whole life to get to this moment where it's right within reach?
Yeah, well, I always knew that, you know, I was talented enough to go to the NFL based on like how I feel about myself. But when I knew it was real, it was just like when scouts were coming to the school to see me, I was like, okay, like this is real. And that was really the first game when we played Central Arkansas. That was like the first game of my second year there, where it was like, yeah, bro, you going to the league this year, your junior year. And that was a cool feeling. And it just motivated me to just stay healthy. Yeah, just finally be able to take care of my family.
So draft day comes, your phone rings. How did that whole process feel? Because I'm sure the phone starts ringing and your heart almost drops.
Yeah, it was lit. It was lit. That's the only way to describe that feeling. I thought I was gonna be a day 2 pick. When day 2 went by, teams were texting me like, hey, we're gonna take you, hey, we're gonna take you, hey, we're gonna take you with our pick. So I knew I was gonna get drafted on the 3rd day. But when it actually happened, it was really cool. Like, I see an area code, Santa Clara. I'm thinking it's the Raiders. Answer it. It was John Lynch. He was like, what's up, DJ? Like, how you doing? He was like, we about to take you with our next pick. Happy to have you. Like, congratulations. And man, that was emotional. That was emotional right there.
After being in the league for 7 years now, this is your 7th season, what would you say is the biggest takeaway that you've learned?
For me, like, I'll say being in the NFL, playing cornerback, you gotta really just focus on yourself. The times that I've played my best ball is like I'm just focused on myself, focused on what I have to do to help the team, play by play. And those are the games that I have great games when I'm just solely just focusing on my job, my task, shutting down this receiver who's in front of me. And then just being a professional, like whether you winning, whether you losing, you got to play your part in the whole grand scheme of things. You know, you can't be looking like, oh, what's this person doing? What's this person doing? Because you start taking stuff from yourself. You got to really just focus on you.
Awesome. Appreciate the time, DJ.
Thank you.